Anyway, joining me with more on all of it, Deputy Chief of Staff to President George W. Bush, Mr. Karl Rove. Karl, I'm getting like you with the charts. I'm
you start using the whiteboard, and I'm going to be sending you. Yeah, you start using a whiteboard, I'm going to be sending you a bill.
Okay.
So
yeah, you get that
I have to pay every time I use the whiteboard. Yeah, exactly.
But you get my point. I mean, I'm going down this list. Luxembourg, small little country, fairly wealthy country though. They manage a lot of money in Luxembourg. They pay 0.4%. Not even close to the 2%. I mean, what kind of charade is this where they say, sure, we'll do it, and then they don't bother?
Well,
I mean,
first of all, I'm not really worried about Luxembourg. I do think we have to be concerned about the larger countries with more substantial economies. The biggest one, of course, is Germany, and I understand, you know, they're just over 1%. They need to get significantly higher than that. Right now, they have a significant part of their Air Force, a significant part of their Navy, which is not combat ready because they're not spending enough on defense. So remember this. Let's step back for just a minute. This problem was acknowledged in the previous administration. We had a bump up in the early 2000s as these new countries joined NATO and began to ramp up their militaries, the former Soviet bloc countries. We had 9/11 and the NATO commitment in Afghanistan, which was substantial, and Iraq, which was substantial. And then towards the end of the first decade of the 2000s, the percentage being devoted to defense began to decline. And the Obama administration rightly said we need to come to a common agreement as to what percentage of the GDP is the minimum for NATO members to make. And in 2014, they agreed that every country would go to 2% by 2024 in order to make certain they weren't just spending it on personnel. 20% of that money had to be spent on equipment so that we were not only getting additional people, we were getting additional capabilities. And that takes a little bit of time. So I think the president is right to say everybody needs to be making progress towards your commitment. The biggest one that is not is Germany. I think it's a little bit problematic when he says, I've now decided unilaterally on my own that it ought to be 4%. The agreement was made in 2014 among all NATO members, 2%. If the president wants to go about getting it increased, he needs to go back through that same process. But right now, the focus ought to be getting these countries up to 2% of GDP on their national
I just
defense.
wonder, though, if he's thinking to himself, gee, if I ask for 2%, we're lucky to get 1.2%. So maybe I'll go in and ask a little bit more.
Well, maybe, but he's on very... Yeah, but he's on very strong ground because he's got every one of those 29 countries, you know, their signatures, if you will, are on the document saying we commit to 2% by 2024. And he can point to countries saying you promised to do this and you're showing no progress towards that goal. I'd rather have him be making that argument than have be declaring unilaterally, I want it to be 4% when they haven't agreed to that. They've agreed to 2% and get it there.
Yeah, I think he's trying to say it could be a whole lot worse. Why don't you just pay what you promised? Let me ask you about this pipeline, though, because this is an important and interesting issue that has arisen now. Germany wants to protect itself from the likes of Vladimir Putin and Russia. And they've come to us for help. As you pointed out, 1.2% is what they're paying, despite the fact that we're paying nearly 4% towards NATO. And so are we running a risk here of enabling Russia in some ways economically by having this pipeline back and forth through Germany and Russia? I mean, you heard what the president said in that working meeting. He said, you're making Putin rich. Why should we protect you if you're making him rich?
Yeah, two quick things. One is, let's be careful about conflating the 4.5% of GDP that we put into our military with the 2% goal for NATO, because we're worldwide. I mean, that 4.5% includes the defense of the United States. It includes
it's 3.6% that's just going to NATO, though. So 4.5%, forget that. When I say nearly 4%, I'm specifying the 3.6% that we put into NATO.
Yeah, that's not into NATO. That's into everything that includes Europe. And for example, some of our major medical facilities to treat the people who are coming out of the Mideast and out of Afghanistan are in Germany. So that's really, you know, it's an easy thing to say. This is how much we're spending in the European theater, but that's where we project our force into the Middle East, for example. But look, let's go back to Nord Stream 2, the pipeline. This is problematic, and this is symptomatic of the geopolitical theories that are propelling Vladimir Putin, because in the first part of the 21st century, in the first decade of it, he went out of his way to hire Gerhard Schroeder, the former socialist prime minister, SPD, prime minister our chancellor, of Germany, in order to and he tried to get an American. He tried to get former Secretary of Commerce Donald Evans to go to work for him, which was just unbelievable that it was so blatant. But the idea was subvert the United States, subvert Western Europe, and make them hooked on to Russian gas and oil supplies. And we've seen how they've dealt with the Ukraine in this instance by literally turning off the tap in the middle of the winter. So I think the president is right to bring this up as a strategic difficulty. The United States has moved belatedly to make it possible for American energy companies to sell liquefied natural gas to Europe. We now have a facility in Louisiana that's coming online to be able to do that. We have plenty of natural gas that we can sell the world. This is in part our problem because the Russians were saying we're happy to sell you gas from your nearby neighbor, while the United States was not taking advantage that we had lower cost natural gas that we could export and be competitive with the Russians. But this is a problem, and the expanding America's energy supplies to the world is a way to help get Europe off of Russian gas and onto American gas.
There you go. How do you think Angela Merkel is going to react to that, Karl?
Well, look, remember, this is where the president's got some leverage. Look, she's not a fan of Schroeder. The Germans did not like it. They bit their tongue when Gazprom, at Putin's direction, hired Schroeder. But they want to know that they have a solid, assured supply of natural gas from the United States. Otherwise, their choice is, and they've made some bad choices, as one of your previous guests pointed out. They have stopped making nuclear power. So they're now more dependent upon oil and gas and coal and renewables. But we can supply them the gas. They need to know that America is going to be a reliable partner in that.